good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Number 3, awards and recognition.
All right. So tonight, it's my honor to recognize the exceptional achievements of our students who have received the prestigious awards of AP Scholar with Honor, and AP Scholar with Distinction. These accolades represent not just a testament to the hard work and dedication of our students, but also a celebration of the supportive learning environment fostered by our dedicated teachers, parents, we cannot forget about our parents too, and our schools. Please note, we will be recognizing all students who received these awards. However, not all were able to join us tonight. Our AP students have got a lot going on. I think Kamora's on this list, and she was on the ball field yesterday. I saw her at a soccer game. So we've got kids doing all kinds of great things. So first, let us commend the efforts of our AP Scholars. An AP Scholar is granted to students who receive scores of 3 or higher on 3 or more AP exams. So let's start. Do we want to go here, here, here? I'm going to go here. I'm going to swing around. I'm going to go over here. All right. Emma Alvear. Come on in. We also have Jaden Bischoff, Nathan Adkins, Ethan Bell, Nora Borish, Riley Ellison, and also with us, JT Folks. Luke Hampton, also with us. Mina McEwen. Also, the national anthem last night for the girls soccer senior night. See, we got kids doing all kinds of great things. Next, we have Gavin Moore, Richard Oakley, and with us, we have Kaylin Smith. Hayden Stewart, Connor Tipton, Zaire Turner, Ansley Yates. Also with us, Josh Baumgartner. Next, Noah Gallagher, and also with us, Jen Ortiz. Ava Shook, Elizabeth Singer, and that concludes our AP. So second up, we'd like to recognize our students who have been awarded AP Scholar with Honor. Granted to students who received an average score of at least 3.25 on all AP exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on 4 or more of these exams. First, Macy Dixon. Next, we have with us Connor Fitzgerald. Brenna Lambert. We also have Dylan McQueen, and as I mentioned, my friend Kamora Tillman. Also with us, Connor Price. And then also to round out our AP Scholar with Honors, Emily Sullivan. is the AP Scholar with Distinction. This is granted to students who received an average score of at least a 3.5 on all AP exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on 5 or more of these exams. We have with us Jackson Hadaway. Anastasia Jadek, and also with us, Abigail Smith. That concludes our AP honors, AP Scholars with Distinction. So let's give them a hand. So again, congratulations to all of our outstanding scholars. They're headed up to take, they're headed somewhere to take a picture together. And we're really excited, and I just wanted to also share that these students will also be honored with our seniors who have graduated and left us in the paper tomorrow as well. So thank you all for being here. Congratulations, parents.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Number 4, agenda approval.
I'm going to jump in real quick. So Mr. Edipa is going to be presenting for Tony today. He's ran into some issues getting here. So talk to Josh just to kind of make sure, we want to do things right here. He said when we get to the construction report, we can kind of just kick that can down the road until Mike gets here, because I know that he'll have a presentation that will need to get uploaded and all the things. So just wanted that to be clear. We're not adding to the agenda. We're simply taking number 7 out of order. So when we get there, we'll just kind of keep skipping that until we're ready to roll with that, okay?
Okay, sounds good. 1 second, just to move things around a little bit. There we go. Okay.
I think you think you need a...
Do we need to
You
move
need
to?
an
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
I cut
Move
you
to
off.
approve the
Thank you,
agenda.
thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that.
Yes, yes.
Public comment? No? No public
We're a team.
comment?
We're a team.
Thank you. Yes, we are. Number 6, consent agenda items 6A through 6J.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. And here we are already. Number 7, construction report. And Mike is not here, so we'll go on to our next one.
Take away.
Number,
Yeah, I was
Yes.
gonna go ahead with the
Oh.
next one, and then I'll jump in.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say with the next item on the agenda there, it's tied to construction type items, but I feel like we talked about that, and you all saw the video that I shared on that, so I don't know that we'd necessarily need Mike here for that one. That's all
Okay.
I wanted to point out.
All right, very good. Number 8, approved bid from Central Kentucky Glass for Garth Elementary window order.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. We feel that way about all of them, but we've been working on this for a long time. So thank you very much for everybody working on that. Number 9, approved change orders 9A through 9H for the new Scott County High School.
So
Move.
move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 10, student achievement report. We are going to have our school update tonight. How are you? Good. Thank you.
So we created a folder for everybody this evening, just to kind of give an update and kind of give you a clear indication of what's going on with SCOLA. And so I'm happy to report that as of yesterday, we had 265 students in SCOLA. And so I did something similar last year, and it seemed to work well. This data shows exactly how many students are coming from each particular school, and then by elementary versus middle school versus high school. We also added that we are continuing to gain some out-of-district students and tuition students. It also kind of breaks it down also of how many IEP students that we have for each elementary, middle, and high school. I would like to just kind of point out that we have students who were previously enrolled in Scott County and returned to us. So these are students who were not with us last year, and students who have never been enrolled with Scott County schools. Those were 38 new enrollments that we received this year, which I felt like was a really great gain for us, along with our tuition students. So that's a definite, some net new kiddos that we were able to bring back into the district, which we're very happy about. We had 141 students who returned to SCOLA that were also in SCOLA last year. And then we have 123 students who were new that come to SCOLA from districted schools. Does anyone have any questions about that?
So the the out-of-district students, do we get funding from their district?
We actually do get
Okay.
SEEK money, not from their particular district, but we get SEEK funding for those students. And then those students also pay the $500 tuition to come to Scott County.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Then really the next 2 pages, I just hit some bright spots of things that are going great. We added a couple of things that we did at the end of last school year. Our 22-23 graduation rate for our seniors was 95%. We also had 4 juniors in SCOLA last year that graduated early, which we're really happy for. We also had an end of the year kind of celebration. We did this specifically for our transition grades. We didn't really want to bring all 300 kids to try to do one big celebration. So we really targeted kindergarten, 5th grade, and 8th grade, which are your traditional transition years. And so we had a celebration at ECS where we had about 16 families who came, celebrated their kids, which was a really great way just to end the year and allow the kids some recognition for the hard work that they've done. And allowed us to kind of be able to give them a little bit of the same experience that they would have received if they were in person. We've updated our SCOLA website, which the link is there if you guys want to take a look at that, as well as a new updated monthly newsletter that has really been significant in the way that we've been able to communicate with the students and families this year. So they're getting about 400 hits per newsletter, which is great. Our staff continues to work with Kentucky Online Learning Cooperative. I was there today meeting with other districts, and we get to collaborate and talk to folks at KDE and KET about opportunities across the state that we can use to work together to build a good online platform for all students. And then there's just the other things I've kind of mentioned in here. We did a orientation this year that we did not have in place at the beginning of last year. So we were able to do a Start Strong orientation, which went over very well. We're piloting this year a live sessions with our first grader students. So we're doing some live sessions with a teacher, Angela Parker from Northern, who's meeting with those kids twice a week, which I think is going to be very helpful. She's specifically going to target Orton-Gillingham because that was something that we noticed as a need last year for those little primary kiddos. We're offering more live session supports this year. Our addition of Mr. Jeter, who is our special education teacher, he is able to meet weekly with the students who have IEPs, so he's doing one-on-one sessions with those. As well as Ms. Franklin is offering support sessions during the day specifically for math, which was our weakness last year for kiddos. They always struggle in math. And then we'll continue to do with our in-person tutoring here at central office from 4 to 6 each Wednesday.
I'm going to jump in really quickly on Mr. Jeter, just to make sure everybody's clear and remembers. So last year, we handled special ed, students that had special services and needs a different way. We handled them through homeschools. Well, you know, this was one of those things that there's different ways you could do it. We chose to do it this way, where essentially we didn't, end up having to approve an extra position, because it's not an extra position. Because instead of them being on the caseloads of the homeschools, they're on his caseload. So I just wanted, in case you're like, I don't remember, I just wanted to just remind everybody that that's where that position came from.
We've had a lot of positive reports from the teachers, because it takes a lot off of them to both do in-person and meet with these kiddos virtually. So Mr. Jeter, even if those kids are not on his caseload, he still provides all the services for our special education students. So that has been super helpful, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from parents as well. We have finished our K through 8. Probably about 95% of kids are finished with iReady. We completed that at ECS, 9th and 10th graders. There is an option, thankfully, with iReady that they can take that at home, but we opted to bring K through 8 into the buildings to make sure we could do that with fidelity. And really help students to ensure that they were being appropriate and testing an appropriate learning environment. And we've started a new RTI system and progress checks every Friday. Last year we attempted to wait till midterm and the end of a term before we really started sending kids back, and we found that that was waiting just too long, that we needed to have a quicker turnaround. The thought process behind that was good. Like, we didn't want to have a lot of back and forth, but in the end, the kids who weren't going to work, we were just keeping them longer for no reason, because they just needed to be back in person. So this year we are doing Friday progress checks, and so students who do not maintain the requirements are put on a probation for 2 weeks with suggestions of things that they can do to improve. And then from there, it goes to a requirement that they have to come in person for tutoring. They're required to attend live sessions, and we're also incorporating the program at PHC, where students can go for tutoring there as well on Mondays and Thursdays. So we're super excited about that. It's a lot of work. It's a quick turnaround for kiddos, but we're already seeing that just kind of holding their feet to the fire, that's been very helpful with keeping kids on track.
Ms. Ratliff, you asked about some particular students. Remember when we talked about that's kind of that far behind and behind, that's kind of some of those metrics that we were talking about with those
And I
students.
do have one more
absolutely.
question. Excuse me. How well attended is the weekly in-person sessions?
It varies. What we do is we will have students that we will actually record sessions. So if Ms. Standifer or Ms. Franklin is providing a help session in math, she can also record that, so students who are not there can still get the information that they need.
Okay.
It really just kind of varies on grade level and student needs, and some weeks, we have more kids show up than others, but we're still kind of early in the semester, so I foresee that really kind
Well,
of
as the grades,
ramping up.
midterms come out, and,
Right.
9 weeks.
Right.
Checks,
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Is it a requirement that they come every week?
There isn't a requirement unless if
They're
they
at
did
the
not,
tutor.
yes, after that 2 weeks of being on probation, they can either return to in-person, or they can spend another 2 weeks in person with us, doing the in-person sessions and live sessions as well.
Are those sessions held here?
We do our tutoring here, so we use the upstairs conference room, and this year we're asking kids to sign up ahead of time, but we don't require it, just so the teachers kind of know what to expect, what they're actually needing assistance on if they come in.
Okay. And then
Is that space working?
Yeah,
Is that-
it's great.
For now, I guess.
It's really nice
size-wise?
because we're right there by the front door, and so we can see kids, coming and going, and so that's been a nice setup.
And it's been kind of a different flavor too for us, because it's, you've you've got more kids here.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just, it's like,
Activity,
what's
yeah.
going on here? Last year was an adjustment, but yeah.
We did a great, we had a good success for High Attendance Day. We actually drew some names, and we had the kids who were engaged on High Attendance Day, or maybe they were doing iReady testing with us at ECS. All of those kids got put into a drawing, and we did the drawing online, and the kids have come in, and we've taken pictures. So that was really fun this year. And then, so I just kind of listed there at the end the social events that SCOLA has already had. We did picnic with the principal in August, and then recently we did a Zoom with your pet on National Dog Day. So that was really fun. Everybody enjoyed that, and we had some ferrets and some rabbits to join us, and so that was great. We've got a sewing class coming up on the 28th here. We're going to do at Central Office with some kids who've signed up for that. We're going to do Bywater Farm Tour in October, and then we just continue to really push on our newsletter the opportunities at the Scott County Public Library, because they do so many great things that are already available to kids. So we're really trying to plug them in there so that they can get involved with the community there as well.
I'm very impressed. Becky and I got to go through it January, I guess, when we first came in. But anyway, I'm just very impressed.
Thank you.
I'm just so proud. Is this offered in every county, or?
It is not. There's not a ton of districts even that have taken advantage of the Kentucky OLOX collaborative that I attended today. Our counselor, Mr. Cook, and I went over the summer and spent a couple of days with those folks. Like, it's just kind of a hit and miss, and it really kind of varies on a district. Some people have like a handful of students, and then, of course, Fayette and Jefferson, Scott County ranks right up there as far as the number of students.
Well, in some of them, I noticed even a Fayette County student, I think.
Yes.
Fayette, Madison, yes, they send their students here.
Yes.
So possibly it wouldn't matter about the transportation, I guess.
Well,
but-
it's kind of, that's one of those things that this isn't for everybody, and we know that. And there's things that they have to have connectivity at their homes. They have to be able to say, hey, we'll come in for state testing at the end of the year. They have to sign off that if their student struggles, these optional times, they might not be optional for them. It may be that they need to
Mandatory,
come
yeah.
in. So they have to honor all the different expectations that we have. I think that Heather and Mark's involvement in trying to stay up on what's going on in the state has kept us very well informed. There are educational cooperatives across the state that are offering these sorts of online learning academies. I think KEDC has one that I know multiple districts have handfuls of kids that are participating. Heather was the first to come to me to say, can you believe that, district unnamed has advertised as the first Kentucky-wide online learning academy? I don't understand how this is so. And, and we found that, we asked them some questions, and they didn't seem to have it all figured out either there. So I'm really excited about what we've got here. I'm really proud of Heather and her team, because we knew last year we were figuring it out as we went. We knew with the decisions on how much time is appropriate to give a kid before we maybe push back and say, maybe you need to be in person. We were trying to figure all that out, but this year it's been kind of awesome to see, because Heather and her team it's like, hey, we know from last year this is what needs to be this year. And so all the tweaks and changes that have come up have just made total sense, and it's helped in terms of not just with your kids there, but what's going to happen for them when they go to their home schools. So it's been really good. I love that you all are finding creative ways to engage too with families still, that are outside the norm of what we're seeing with other programs. And then lastly, I won't go into details, but Heather knows there's one family in particular that I know personally from before being here. And there's some students that have now graduated because of this program that I know would not have any other way.
That's great.
And I know it was a load, So I
We
think-
kept him this year, we have.
I know.
It's
I know you
good.
got some
We're-
siblings, but I'm just saying.
We're
yeah,
excited.
Yeah, it's a load, but I know it's making a difference for kids. So I just thank you to Heather and your team.
Absolutely, we
I have one
appreciate
more
the support.
question. Because typically, I want to know how much time does a student have to work per day? I mean, because like I'm in college, I'm online, and they say, oh, you need 20 hours a week. So do y'all have like an average amount of time?
So it's very interesting, and I provided you guys with some screenshots where we blacked out the names of what it
saw
looks
that.
like on our end from schools PLP. What we initially started with last year is explaining to parents that maybe about 45 minutes to an hour per course would be appropriate, like it would be if they were in person. This year, we've kind of taken a different approach and asked parents and students to use the tools that are available to them to determine if they are behind and how to use the tools to see what's coming next on each of those courses. And so Schools PLP is really great that it gives them that timeline so we can teach them how to utilize their resources to know really how much time they need, because it varies from student to student. So we tell them their goal is to stay on pace and to not get far behind. And if you start getting behind, how to look at those courses and determine what is it that I need to be doing, or how do I manage my time if I'm really behind in this class, but I'm ahead in English because I love English and I can work ahead in that. So PLP does a great job of providing us with that data and to be able to see exactly how much time each student is spending. We really depend on our parents, especially kindergarten through 8th grade, to share with us, hey, we really feel like there's too much of a load in English 4. And so if it's one parent, then we're like, yeah, well, maybe. But if we start getting those phone calls, we're able to come together as a team and determine, yeah, maybe we need to take some stuff off that particular course. So, but
So it's not like they're just going to be on for an hour or two and then it's over.
yeah, we encourage them.
Because I think a lot of people think.
Yeah, we do encourage them to take breaks and to really, just like you would in the classroom, spend 20 or 30 minutes, go take a brain break, go do something else, and then come back, because they have all day to complete their work. So
I know last year as we were walking through this, cause I kept thinking, we've never done it before. So I'm like, okay, I was just worried to death we're gonna have 300 kids, and then we get to the end and then all of them fail. Like, oh my gosh. So, I was constantly just harassing Heather and her team, like, hey, so how many kids we got? How are we feeling about these kids? Cause I think last year at the end, we had, as we were approaching the second semester, we had about 14 kids that were kind of on our watch list out of that almost 300 that we were just, but then of those 14, it was down to a handful.
Right.
So, it's just, I'm excited to see what this year holds, now that we've had a chance to figure out what works best for our students.
it's a little easier to balance now, to kind of have a general idea of what to expect out of students.
Yep.
And the timeline and the Friday progress checks have been a huge help to get things.
Accountability.
Yes, accountability has been important.
I've always said, as far as a weakness, that walking that line between being compassionate and being an enabler is tough. And I feel like Heather embodies that, because she takes it very, she wants to make sure, I don't want to be too hard on them, but having this year for it to wash over us,
Yeah.
we feel better about our benchmarks and our markers. for
And
what
it's
we do.
working with everybody else too. Like, you're working with principals, you're working with counselors, you're working with the DPP. Like, what can we do to offer that kid a second chance? So not everything's black and white, and so sometimes we just have to think out of the box on how to help kids graduate and get what they need.
I've got a couple of questions just for clarification, or just I'm curious about when you talk about working ahead, because I can imagine, in my house with my two, I would have one that, if she could, would have finished all the English and all of the social studies and waited till December 1st to start our math, and then my son would have been exactly the opposite. So does the coursework or the progress sort of block out a week worth of work opens up each week, or is it an entire grading period, or
The
can
way
that
we
person
set
finish a
it up-
course in a month?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The way we set it up this year is that they have to complete and pass the assessment before it will allow you to move ahead.
Right.
So last year, we had some situations where, kids, they would complete the work, but they weren't passing the assignments, and so they would take the quiz. Well, they would, of course, fail the quiz. So we actually were able to, in schools PLP, set those parameters. So kids have to actually make a passing score before it's going to allow them to move ahead. But as long as they are making the necessary scores, then it will allow them to continue to work through.
Okay.
Schools PLP is great in the sense that it's very easy to add things on the back end. And so last year, like when we had some kids that finished up early, really we talked to the parents. Some of them want extra work, and so we can look at iReady and say, hey, you can spend that time in iReady completing lessons there. Or parents will say, I really want them to work on X, Y, Z, and we can add those at the end of the curriculum to keep kids moving.
And
that's
still
what
make that
parents
sort of
want.
contingent upon earning the credit?
Yep.
Okay, okay. And then another thing is, as I was kind of just going down through the
Yeah.
printout you gave us of a progress, I see there's one student, sorry, I'm old and blind, there's a student, who spent an hour but completed 80 activities, and then another student spends, 14
So-
hours and only completes 40 activities. Does that give you pause?
So
Or
the
are there
interesting thing,
explanations for that?
yeah, the interesting thing about the SCOLA data, which is super helpful in our situation, is when you're looking at that particular sheet, you are seeing everything from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade.
Okay.
So we can sort it, and I tried to kind of give a piece where you could kind of see like the fully disengaged and kids that were maybe in the
Right.
orange and all green.
Sure, I appreciate
instead
that,
of just
yeah.
everybody,
Right,
or
right.
seeing all the kids at the end that were all in red. But it doesn't necessarily, it's not giving you in this particular shot a clear indication of which course you're looking at.
Okay.
So, and the
Oh,
other,
so this page, for example, isn't all the same course?
no.
Okay, that makes
This
that
is
that
just
helps
all
me,
SCOLA
because
kids,
I'm
so you
wondering
can
how in
kind
the
of see.
world is-
Yeah.
could somebody get all that done and somebody else, is that
And
far off?
it's important to also note that activities all are not necessarily things that are gradable. So in schools PLP, an activity might be that they are reading through the chapters in the unit.
Okay.
It might be that they're watching videos. It might be that they're doing show-its and practice problems. So not every activity is really as relevant as what it would be like.
Sure.
It's not equivalent to an
Right.
assignment.
But I guess it does give you some insight into maybe the level of engagement
Yes.
for a child to complete 80 activities in an hour.
Right.
This kid must love that
What are they
subject,
doing?
whatever
Yeah.
it is. Or are they clicking boxes, that sort of thing. Okay.
And it provides us with that data compared to what we were using last year. We can sort it so many different ways that when we have questions like that, it's easy for
Get down
us to
to
do
it.
a quick filter to kind of figure that out.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's really good data.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another question. Just because I'm a teacher and I taught online, and I'm like, how in the world do we teach a little kid, a kindergartner, how to read?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, is there any way I can see it? I mean, because I've been I've taught 4th, 5th, and been online with 4th and 5th kids. I already know. And I know the struggles that I had. But a kindergartner,
Yeah. We have that same concern as well.
Okay.
There are districts, like some of the kids that we have gathered from other districts are, like say, for instance, from Fayette County, they do not offer kindergarten through 5th online anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we kind of inherited some of those kiddos. It depends on the parent and the amount of engagement.
okay.
We seen that last year with my primary kiddos. So that was part of the reason of really coming up with some sort of plan with the Orton-Gillingham, because the parents really didn't have an understanding of the difference between a sight word
Right.
and phonemic awareness.
Yeah.
And sometimes parents have an unrealistic expectation of that their kids just
Right.
magically learn how to read as they get older.
Exactly, yeah.
So those are things that we're trying to use this pilot program with Ms. Parker, with the Orton-Gillingham to kind of see. And now with iReady, I think that will help also to be able to give a clear indication to parents and go, your student is not necessarily as far ahead as what you think
Right.
that they are.
So when they do Orton Gillingham, they're gonna be in this.
It is a Zoom session,
It's
or
a
it's a
Zoom
virtual
session.
session
Okay.
with the teacher
You're fine.
at Northern. She
Okay.
completes it with them online and then records her lesson and then embeds it within a
Yeah,
phonics.
I guess because
folder.
I've done Orton Gillingham, and I know it's a lot of hands-on, the sand and all that, so do y'all send all that?
What she
To the
asked us to do,
kids.
because I did ask that
Yeah.
question, she said, let me see how it goes first, and as we move through the different sections, I'm not familiar with Orton Gillingham,
Yeah,
that's why it
it's
was
a lot of
important to
tactile,
get
so that's why I was
somebody
like,
who has already
Do
been
it
trained.
online. Okay.
But,
Uh-huh.
so she's gonna let us know, because we can
Okay.
provide that, we do have some funding that we
Okay,
can get that
that's
to the
great.
parents if they're
Yeah.
unable to do it.
Yeah, I just want to see it. I just because I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm kind of fascinated too.
Yeah, I would
because
like to see.
it-
Yeah.
To learn to read, you have to read.
Yeah.
And be
Yeah.
corrected
And
and
then they're
coached
so-
and in
yeah.
real time, or you're mispronouncing
Yeah.
words and.
Yeah, and, we have to depend on our parents, and so that's part of kind of that balance, like we were talking about earlier. Like, we've really tried to take the stance that we trust the parents, that they're going to do what's best for their kids.
Maybe trust but
Until they
verify.
don't, yeah.
Right.
Until they don't, or
Yeah.
we see a reason not to, and so, and at that point, we're trying to educate them, and, hopefully get them back in the school building.
Right. Well, bless you. It's a
Yes.
whole family approach at that level, I guess.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just provided that. It does also, in that packet with the, from Schools PLP, parents and students also get that weekly student pulse. So that sends an information specifically to the parent and the student as well, to kind of give them an idea of where their kiddo's at, progress-wise. Have any more questions?
We're good. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
I have noticed that Mike has joined us, so we're going to go back to number 7 and do our construction report. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you got here safely.
It's always fun and exciting when we have good things happening, so. I can remember how to run this remote here a little bit. I was on site today, actually, so I got dust all over me. That's the Scott County High School dust all over my pants. But this is some updated pictures from the progress that's happening at the site. And see if this is just this is the picture from last. Just want to show you a comparison, some of the stuff here. There's not a lot of stuff happening on the face of the building here, but this is the picture from last month. But what we're seeing is that a lot of debris and stuff that's around the building is now getting cleaned up. You can see that this is a picture from today, and they're starting to get gravel in place and grading in place, topsoil is being spread. Some of the outside spaces are being cleaned up, and it's starting to really, come together as a site. So that's a new picture from the day. This is the back side of the gym. The roof structures going on, the covered space there, the bricks going on the stair towers, and so it's starting to really develop out nicely there as well. This is inside the Great Hall, looking from both directions. From the front door, looking down towards the cafeteria on the left, from the cafeteria space looking back out to the front door on the right. Just good volume space there, but see that's cleaned up. A lot of it's been muddy and dirty in the building, and this is starting to come together inside as they finish some things up. This is just a shot of again, cleanup around there. This is the storm shelter, the cafeteria, and the culinary lab on the lower level there. This is the back side. Picture on the top left was last month, and you see that there's they've got the insulation on the building there that's going to start to form the scenery shop that's being constructed to be the yellow is the foam, insulation foam, and in front of that scaffolding where it turns back to gray, that's going to be another part of the building that hasn't been constructed yet, which is the scenery shop. But you're looking in the window on the right goes into one of the ag science buildings, and then the next section over is the band, and that looks all the way down to the gym. So you can see that some of that's coming together nicely, and good progress on everything. This is the entrance of the gymnasium there. This is inside the building. This is the media center looking towards the front, and we've got the fireproofing spray on all the structure up there. So all the fire protection is going in the building, throughout the building. And they're, they got most of the conduit and a lot of stuff going on in there. And again, you can see the pile of drywall there. So, I mean, it won't be long, they'll be putting drywall up and starting to really get to the finish levels on some of these spaces. This is looking the opposite direction, the media center towards the front of the building. Again, drywall in that space. And they got all the soffit framing and stuff. In this area we're looking here, we got the suspended ceilings, but in the center section, there's a lot of drywall and stuff going in those spaces. This is the center section looking out, and some of that framing has been finalized, and they got good space there. This is the cafeteria, walking in the serving line side. So they're already putting block filler on there. That's your first coat of finish on the walls. So that's the serving line section. That happens to be the dirty dish counter area again. So this is the first area to sort of getting some of those finished colors on there or surfaces. The central stair. The areas on the very top or over the left, that's the mechanical platform for the mechanical equipment. There's one on the top right, top left. They still have to put equipment up there, but that space will be all drywalled in when it gets done. But that's the atrium central staircase there. You can see there's a beam on the top left corner, sort of angles and comes out. That's where the glass wall will be when it projects down to the floor. So eventually that'll be a nice glass space there. But that's coming together pretty good. This is the culinary lab from the lower level. On the right side will be all the residential kitchen spaces. So you got your traditional residential kitchens going in there, and then the commercial kitchen equipment will be in the middle of the space in the back section. And we're at the front of the classroom space where we're at, where I'm taking a picture from. But you see all the ductwork going in there, all the stuff's getting in place. The metal stud framing's in place, so they're ready to start putting in, once they get everything connected, to start to drywall all that space too. The picture from looking out this is looking out the cafeteria, I believe, towards the bypass out there, and you can see that they're spreading topsoil right there, and the dozer in the middle of the picture on the right side there. They're starting to spread out topsoil. You've got, final grading going on in the parking lot. So the spaces are really starting to level out, and you see what the final product's gonna look like. Again, they're running graders across it right now. That's just ready for DGA to go in there pretty soon. And again, just more site work that's starting to really define everything. That's that second
And
picture.
that shows that because we were planning on asphalt October-ish.
Yeah,
timeframe, so
and we want that
it
to
shows that
We're ready for that. We're on target for the pavement to start to come in, base coats coming in. So that'll help to get the dust down and also just get a good clean surface. This is inside the theater, so that's the balcony beams on the left projecting out. So you can see the structural steels in there. You see on the top upper right is the catwalk that's going to be. It'll be concealed when you're in the space, but there's a catwalk up there that runs across that space, and that'll have lighting and on that to shine down towards the stage area. Then on the sides of that, you'll have these tiered seating on either side of the central floor area. And that door is looking out to what will be the scenery shop. It's not constructed yet. It's going to be going in there, but that's that big bright spot there. But jump out to this is the football field. So the picture from last month, you had sort of the concrete curb around it, a few of the fence posts in it. But now they've got all the stone base going in that space, and the skid steer back there has a little laser GPS controlled device on it to level this field out using GPS controls. So that runs back and forth, and it gets adjusted based on GPS controls, so that you have the right surface drainage and crown of the field and level and all that kind of stuff. So that's coming together there. This is on the building on the left is your storage room, then it goes into the concession, and then the far two buildings on the left are the restroom buildings. This is underneath the grandstand space. You can see just above that pile of dirt, you see some black cylinders across there. That's the foundation for some of the grandstand that's going in. And on the right, back to the picture, over on the right, you see the gravel on the soccer field over on the right side of the equipment on the right. That's also going in at the same time. So this is, again, down there, looking at those buildings from a different angle down there. Those were from last month. This is the field house building. If you look through the windows, the windows to the left, you see a dark color there because they actually have the bar joists on it, so the roof structure's going on that building as well right now. The bar joists are going in there, so probably next month you'll see that whole roof get framed in, and we'll start to see that building getting closed in as well. So
Is this building close to the roundabout
this building is,
on the other?
this is the one closer to the roundabout.
Okay,
Yes.
that's the one when I drove past.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
that was new when I saw
Kind of
that.
up to the left and.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the football field there. It's the north side of the football field is what that is. And so those are, the lower level is the football locker room on the lower side here. And the upper level has regular locker rooms across where those windows are at there. But that's coming along pretty good too. So I think we're seeing good success. I think they're on schedule. Every target they've got right now we're hitting. So I think everything's going quite well. Georgetown Middle School, small project, but still has the system that you still have to wait for shop drawings. You got to process stuff. Things come in slowly. They still have lead time issues, so this isn't moving near as fast. But you can see the picture on the upper right is last month. They had footings in place. They now have the stem walls up. They had actually mispoured the location of the front footing, and they had to redo that. So you can see the footing up there is extra wide on the upper right picture. So now you got the stem walls in place, you got a first course of block in place, you got underground plumbing in place. So even though you don't see anything as you drive by it, there is stuff happening there. And, but, you know, we would like to see them move a little faster than they currently are. So we've expressed that at all of our meetings, and we've had a little bit of a snafu with shop drawings where they haven't been getting us the information that we need to get back to them right away, and so that has slowed the process a little bit too, but we're trying to get that back on track, so.
Do we have an estimated time for completion on this?
The date of that completion on our schedule, I think, is December 16th, I think. That's what we have scheduled, and we don't have, you know, again, this is, once they get out of the ground, they get walls up, and it's wood trusses and shingled roof. It's not that much work when these walls pop up. There's not a lot of systems involved. It's basic ventilation, some electric heaters. So there's not a lot to the project. Getting out of the ground always takes half the time.
Sure.
Especially on a building of this size. So there's no problems meeting the date that we have on our contract. We were sort of hoping that they would be able to construct this faster than the date that we had on the contract.
Okay.
But I think from the scheduling standpoint, they have moved some of the games to other locations, and they're playing them in some different spots, so that I think that although we have barricades off here so that you have controlled zones, you know, where there's a fence here and everything like that, you can have events there without any problem, but you don't have the ability to have the restrooms and the concessions that you used to have. So, so we're pushing them, and you know, this is a small project for a big contractor, and you know, they're a good sized firm, doing a lot of stuff, and they're sort of new to this area of the market. They do a lot of Louisville stuff, but they should be qualified, and we'll keep on them. But other than that, I guess we're still on schedule from their schedule that we went over. We're hitting those target dates, although we thought we could move faster. So, so that's the end of that. And then obviously, I think you guys already looked at item 8 on the agenda, which was the windows. So we did get 2 bids, and they were $12,000 apart. So that was a real good understanding where we were at budget-wise. We are doing direct purchase orders on that, so we got the DPO amount. So we got to get our contracts done and everything to complete that process. The purpose of doing this bid package 2 first was because of the lead time on the windows, so that we could get them here in time to have them basically in boxes sitting on site before school lets out. So that's why we wanted to get these things ordered and done. Bid package 1 is the other part of the project. That is going to be the demo of the existing windows. That'll be masonry repair. That'll be cleaning the building. That'll be structural repairs. We have lintels that are rusted out and delaminating, and so we're going to do another. We had some footage of the building, but we're going to go fly the building again for a final review to verify all the lintels that are bad from the outside, And we want to do, we've got right now, we're going to do a walkthrough October 2nd. I think you guys are out of school October 2nd. So we're trying to get in the building because we got to get in every classroom and verify some stuff. And so we're going to try to get in the building October 2nd to do that. Our plan is to have this out to bid mid-October, so that we get this number, final cost and all that to do as well.
You mean on the repair part?
On the repair part.
Mhm.
And then that piece, most of the stuff, I mean, most of that work's still gonna be intrusive to classrooms, so it won't happen till summer. But there'll be some pieces that they might be able to do outside the building ahead of time. Like we have some windows in bathrooms that we're eliminating and we're gonna infill with brick. So there's a few windows that we're doing that too. There's a windows that they might be able to do that. We wanna have what we wanted to do is have the contractor for bid package 2 hired, because we'd like to meet with them because there's some criteria that he wants to do. He wants to be able to seek some conditions before he can order windows. So we have to have a demo contractor hired so we can tear something out, check on something, and may have to put something back in place.
Coordinate it.
To coordinate that. We have the lower basement windows and rocks are a little more complicated in how they're currently installed, and so we have to do some removal to probably see exactly what's going on to verify some stuff. And so we'll have that demo contractor involved to help us through that process. But but we wanted to see what he needed to have. So I think it's all going pretty good. I think we're planning on, go out in October, get a bid first in November, and whenever you guys want to look at those bids and award those bids, and we'll go from there.
So the idea is we're gonna go in and do demo. When will that start, are you projecting? Is
Well,
that
you
gonna
would-
be the week the school's out, or what are we doing?
Yeah,
After school?
with the demo, they're literally gonna take out windows and put in
Right.
windows.
So when are you gonna start on that?
School's out. When school's out, all the material is
That
intended to
week.
be on site. Yes.
Okay.
School out meaning October 2nd or
No,
May?
school out in the summer.
Okay, that's what I was
Summer
trying to
school.
establish.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
no,
how are
No,
we
no,
gonna
no,
do
no.
that in a
this
It's
week?
is-
already been
He
established.
said
It was
getting
in
in
the
there.
summer.
That's
Yeah,
what I
it's a summer-
thought, but he was
yeah.
throwing me off when he was talking about getting in there on the 2nd.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
yeah, no, this would be when we want all material on site and everybody on set to start day school the day we can get in the building. Now, we've talked with Dwayne about maybe there's spaces that we can get into that are not intrusive to students ahead of time, or even do during any type of time that you have off. There may be points where we can get them out to do something if they so choose. But to help, alleviate any pressure in July, I think we've got a completion date of July 15th in our schedule for the window installation.
Okay.
So, now, we could have bad weather days, you could have all kinds of things that happen. We don't want to be the point where we're affecting school. I think maybe it's live. Well, that's why we're trying to
You have
build in
about a
some
month
days,
leeway, probably, yeah.
and so, we want to make sure that we can, give enough time between what your start date is and that is. And so, we have a date on I'm going from memory, I think it's July 15th, it might have been July 1st.
Well, Tony can thank you for questions that he's gonna get from me now about this project, because it wasn't even a blip on my radar for it delaying school, but
Oh, gosh, now it's something to be anxious about.
that's right.
Well, I mean, anytime you do construction over the
No,
summer.
I know.
So
this-
how much time are you projecting for demo?
They'll be demoing at the same time they're installing.
Okay,
So
so it's all gonna be simultaneously?
It's simultaneous.
We'll
Oh, I
demo
would
this
hope, yeah,
window,
but you can't
come in
hang
behind
out
it.
for a
Yeah.
couple of weeks with no windows. You
Yeah.
gotta
Right.
pull it out and put it right back in.
Well, you never know. With the
So-
way
Oh,
that we
I
go.
understand, I
We've
understand.
got a building in GMS that's the size of a bathroom, and we've got a whole building, 2 buildings that have gone up over at Scott County High School. So everybody's perfectly competent. I don't mean anything against that. It's
Right.
just, you just never know what timing's
That's
gonna be.
correct. Now, the contractor we have on here is Central Kentucky Glass. They're the ones installing the windows, did Great Crossing. They're the ones installing the windows at Scott County High. They're familiar with you. They know we know them, and they'll have a good, we've talked with him through the whole process, and the products and making sure, they think they're gonna be able to do, anywhere, depending on the window, like the windows in the media center, the big arch windows, that's one a day. They'll do 1 window a day there. And then when there's classroom windows, they figure they can do 2 windows a day. When there's a couple small windows, they'll do 3 windows a day. So we looked literally, that's sort of our schedule. We're doing this, and then this, and then this, and then this. Now, we have some windows are gonna have lintel issues where the lintel has been deteriorated, and we have to replace lintels and brick.
What's lintel?
That's the steel
Support
angle holding
holds
the,
it,
supporting the opening. And,
At the
so
top of it, right here.
those will be ones we're gonna have to take out the window, they're gonna have to go in and do mason repair, they're gonna have to temporary in stuff to make all that happen, so that when they get back to put that window in, that window opening is ready for that. Those might be done prior to the day they start tearing out all the other windows.
Right,
Most of that is happening on the third floor,
okay.
highest we can get.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's where the water infiltration is, and that's where the movement has happened. And as you look at what happens with expansion and contraction of brick, and, you know, that has the least amount of weight on it. It's the lightest piece of material that can move the easiest, the stuff that's higher in the wall.
Right.
And it actually got hit by water. Water hits that and infiltrates in those spots. So there is some brick repair that we have to deal with. Some of that we're hoping it can get done long before school letting out. So there may be a point where we have to target some areas in certain part of the buildings to schedule that. So we have to work on how that might happen with Dwayne and the staff of the school to figure out how we can make that be less intrusive on the building if they're gonna be working in spaces, so that we can schedule in our documents that we'd like to be able to do this, this, and this, so that,
Okay.
so that we make sure that the summertime is hopefully putting in the new products to take care of the other things. So there's a lot to this piece of making sure that it's successful. And so obviously communication is always the best way to make something successful. So we've been working on this thing and planning this thing and trying to figure out what to do, and meeting with the masons and the brick companies and those people that are going to do the repair work, and trying to find the right people to do the job as well. So I think we'll have a great success, and we're very happy to do this project. And you know, it is a new product that replicates a historical product, and I think it really will. We went back to the original drawings of the building from 1924,
Love it.
and we're duplicating the concept of what was there.
Right.
So, so I think it's exciting. I mean, and we did it for no significant cost difference than if we were putting in regular windows.
Good, yeah, that was always a concern.
So, you know, it wasn't one thing that just because we did this series of windows, but, you know, we went down and we worked through that process to find out how to make this look as close to being original, but still be economical, so. But,
I've got a question. I guess I didn't realize we were filling in some windows. Is that gonna throw off the symmetry of the building as
no,
far
it's,
as the
it's,
aesthetics?
you've already done that in some spots, like when you did the kitchen cafeteria, you got
Right.
banners over top of areas that were with block. On the south side, you've got one of the bathroom windows that's been infilled with block, and the other one isn't, at the same end of the building.
Okay,
So, they're in the basement level, they're sort of recessed in the back,
okay.
and, so it was either tear out one, put a window in this hole, or just close it off. They're really deep in the rock walls, I mean, the depth of the walls at that point
So
are
it's not
are
loss, a
28
huge
inches
loss of
deep.
light there, okay.
And it's in a bathroom. So we didn't think that was a real issue to close
Okay,
that
I
in.
follow.
The other ones are visibility issues, you know, when you're, again, the same offset, like when you go down the ramp to go into the building on the north side, the bottom ones are closed in because you had the kitchen there. Well, when you go up 2 stories there's 2 windows above that again that are facing that side view that we're gonna get rid of. They interfere with toilet stall doors, and there's a variety of things that they sort of affect. And all those are rotted, the tiles just falling off in those spaces. And, you know, otherwise we have to go in there and put obscured glass, and it doesn't, you know, so we're trying to get a really good brick match and just get a couple windows that we don't think are valuable to the process, and infill them with brick. So we're not doing it just arbitrarily. Now, we do have one that we're gonna deal with where the kitchen, the dishwasher exhaust hood comes through the wall on the lower level on the east side by the stair tower door. There's a big metal exhaust hood that comes out of a window. We're gonna close that window in. We're not gonna try to put an exhaust hood through a window. So that's one of those windows that are just because of what we have going on, we're gonna close that in.
Okay. I just don't wanna lose the integrity of the building,
No,
or make
we-
it look like we've patched it.
That's important to us too,
Okay.
to make this thing look right. You know, it's got 100 years of life on it already. And, you know, if we do this right, these windows should last quite a while.
Okay.
And we want it to, you know,
Sure.
we want to be proud of this project too.
Right.
So, you know, we're trying to not do anything that we wouldn't, you know, we had.
That you wouldn't do to your own home.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a historical building, I would want it to keep it
Right,
as
right.
accurate as possible. But there's some things that you don't put windows in because it just doesn't make sense.
Sure.
So are the windows that are currently in there, are they the original ones, or have they been updated before?
The windows that are in now were put in the 80s.
In the 80s, okay.
So they had the original steel windows in, and what they had is they had a steel tee, a structural tee, they put glass in it, and they glazed it with a glazing compound on the outside, and it had a little arc where it held all that, hold that glass in place. And that's how and that's all, I mean, that was a big popular thing in the you know, the 20s and 30s and that kind of stuff. All your industrial buildings were done that way. You look at the old automotive plants and all they're all built with that kind of construction. The windows right over top of the doors when you go in the stair towers are the original windows.
Are y'all gonna do anything with those original windows?
We're not taking out any of the original windows, they're already gone.
You said, but those.
Oh, no, the ones above the doors are staying. We're not touching the
You're
ones
not,
above.
okay, because
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were kind of
No, they're just like,
some
the-
kind of,
do
they're like the
some kinda-
transom over
yeah.
top of the door, then they're staying.
Okay.
But what we wanted to do is we wanted to match that same look and profile. Now, we didn't make everyone an individual glazed light, you know, because you have all those lights. So we have a mullion on the outside, on some of them with an internal mullion, so that it would represent the appearance of that individual glazed light. But it would be, that would have cost us another $500,000 to try to glaze all those lights. We
So
got,
it's still gonna be the big tall, long,
there'll still be that big tall arch
Okay.
window, glass all the way up. We're getting rid of that metal panel that's on top of everything, so that it's back to all glass. So, when we're done with it, it's gonna be pretty, yeah.
I was at Eastern, I was a teacher there, so I was with the original big tall built windows, and then we got rid of them, and I lost all that window space. That was a big,
We're
it was a
bringing-
big difference.
We're bringing all the light back
Yeah.
in the building.
Okay, that's good.
We're gonna box
natural
out
light
in
was
the
great.
ceiling. The ceiling's like a 9 foot. They range and they jump up and down all over. So we're literally gonna box out on the inside with a window so that we can get that all the way up. The blinds will go all the way up to the top. And so you'll have light control still and everything, but you'll have the effect of all that glass. Because otherwise we would have had put something up there to cover this thing, and you're trying to tie and blend it. You know, you're just, yeah, we just didn't think that was our best choice.
And then one more question, just for thinking about as a teacher. So when they pack up their room in the summer, it's gonna be like a normal pack up, or is it gonna be extra?
I wondered about that.
Well, I think that we need access to that window wall and everything. And the thing is in some of those classrooms, we may have to tear down part of the ceiling back to be able to get,
Okay.
because of the way the structural grids and stuff like that. So we have to sort of work that out. Like, I think Dwayne is still gonna move some of the trees and bushes that are in the way. Where we have an issue like that, he's gonna take care of some of those things. So there'll be some things that we have another final meeting with Dwayne to work through some of that to see. But, you know, it may be that, I mean, they're only going in there, they go in a room for a day and out.
Yeah, so it's not gonna be.
It may not be,
Okay.
you know, it may not be too bad. They still gotta do the ceiling work and stuff, but I mean, we'll work through that schedule, but anyways, it should be a good project, so
A
I'm
lot of
excited about
dust,
it.
probably
Yeah, a whole
everything
lot
needs to
of
be
dust,
covered,
yeah.
and, yeah.
Can I answer anything else for you, Dollar?
Thank
Even things that Tony needed to answer? I'm always happy to come rather than let's keep Tony doing something else, so. So,
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We're gonna go back into, realign ourselves here, and we're starting on number 11, I believe. Let me just jump in, yep. Number 11, approve district funding assurances for comprehensive district improvement plan.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 12, approve emergency certification 12A through 12D as submitted.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 13, approve 2023-2024 cooperative membership agreement.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 14, approve agreement with Beautiful Minds, Wedco District Health Department, and Scott County Board of Education.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 15, approve memorandum of agreement between Kentucky State University and Scott County High School.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Approved to renew Inova Healthcare Services, Inova Employee Assistance, IEA, for the 2023-2024 school year.
Move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 17, approve shortened school day week for students with special needs.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 18, appoint calendar committee and select board member to serve on committee for the 2024-2025 school year.
I move to appoint Becky Nelson to serve on the calendar committee.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 19, accept and award mowing bid for Northern Elementary School.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 20, approve items for surplus as submitted.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 21, approve working budget for fiscal year 2024.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 22, financial statement.
Thank you all for your time this afternoon. I've got July 2023 ready for you after we close the year. Our beginning balance was $115,372,654.10. We had receipts of $24.2 million. We have expenses of $3.9 million. At the end of the year, we did a lot of moving around. One of our ESSERs ended, so there was a lot of switching around of expenses, but we transferred a lot of things around, leaving our ending balance at $110.9 million. We had investments of $90.1 million, and leaving our ending cash balance at $20,825,945.31. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Number 23, approve current bills.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 24, superintendent's report.
So, this past few weeks, we've worked on a variety of things. Let's start with standard one. Leader and Me, we had a meeting in which district leaders were brought up to speed on Leader and Me, and then we also had a follow-up meeting in which principals and their APs that'll be leading the charge in their buildings were provided some information. Again, we've got some schools that are a little bit further ahead than others by their choosing, but I think that it's one of those things that we're moving at an adequate pace for sure, and I couldn't imagine anybody not feeling pleased about the way that this is just moving forward. Next, BCTC. They reached out to us, and me and Stephanie participated in a Zoom the other day about a grant proposal, and really, it's just looking at some additional pathways, perhaps, that they might be able to offer to our students that we can't through some of the things that maybe they already have in place. So where we're at with this, they have the ball's in their court, so to speak, because we're waiting for them to provide us with a listing of here's some ideas they have, then we'll overlap that with some of the thoughts we have to see where to go from there. But they brought it up, and there's two different grant proposals that they're looking at, and one's through like Department of Labor, and one's through National Science Educator, some sort of consortium. But long story short, we're not sure exactly which direction it'll go, but there's grant funding tied to it, and it's all about providing additional pathways to students. So really excited about the partnership with BCTC. Cultural leadership, it's one of those things, sometimes I just sit down and until I'm making my report, I don't really, some of this isn't strategic. Did a lot with cultural leadership. Had a realtor meeting in which we talked about some things going on within our school system. I got an invite from a student to go to the Civil Air Patrol promotions, and I thought that it was really nice. Joy Lesby got an invite as well from the student, and it was just it was really good time. Got to see several students engaged in some things that they're really passionate about. Georgetown Men's Group presentation, I shared with them some things, particularly some things about the rate recommendation and some other things that were kind of topical, and I've done that generally at least once a year, sometimes once every 6 months, and I did that a Saturday before last, I believe it was. Avi Vasquez, he is a gentleman that we've had come and has spoken with our students in the past. He came a Friday or two before last and talked to staff, and then also later that night spoke in Spanish and spoke to families about some of the struggles that he had, and I guess it was kind of motivational, and it was uplifting and meant to inspire hope. And what I got to see from the teacher side of it, the teacher presentation, I'd say he hit the mark. All kinds of Battle of the Birds. We had volleyball, girls soccer, boys soccer, a lot going on, so got to see all that. Human Resources Leadership, we participated with Corinne DeToy and Krista Horde and myself. We participated in the hiring process for an HR administrative assistant, so we are happy that we have someone coming on board here shortly to take over some of those roles. Some of us are more happy than others, aren't we? Managerial leadership, Scott County Middle School traffic flow meeting. This was kind of awesome because we just sat down and we're thinking about next school year and how that will look and all the things. And we ended up landing on parts of the solution we thought would come to fruition, but a couple things just on the fly that we realized, hey, this actually might make sense to take the buses out this way. So it's just neat. It's just neat when you see everybody put their minds together, what you can come up with. Salary schedule adjustments, you all know what we did and what we talked about that last special called meeting. And then Scott County Middle School renovation meetings, we had a couple involving Tony and his team and some of the engineers. We had a virtual one and then a site visit. So we're moving right along, and I would expect to see some discussion at the next board meeting about some of the things with where our students will be for the future. I also wanted to take the time on this one to mention DT and the AEDs, because he's done a lot of work with the AEDs. I didn't realize until recently, I get it that there might be batteries that would expire, but the pads expire. I mean, there's a lot to it, and I see other superintendents and the things that they're having to deal with these plans that they now have, cardiac response plans, and for us, it's been just a burden lifted to know that we've got people in place that are just making sure that we're good. We got a new shipment in, is that right? 16 brand new ones, that's right. And I believe, what did you say we were repurposing some of the existings? Okay. So, anyway, just wanted to give a shout out to DT because I know that's been something that he's been just carrying the load on and making sure that we structure it in the right way. Collaborative leadership, the 4T Academy kickoff meeting. This is another partnership with Toyota. This is the one I think I talked maybe a little bit to Susan and Diana the other day about it. We've got another meeting, I think, next week. Yeah, and we've also, Stephanie and I will probably be going on a visit to Indiana to see a site that they have that in. And just essentially, it looks like it'll lead to some sort of manufacturing pathway in the future for us, and it'll be beneficial to Toyota, but also the manufacturing community. And it's one of those things that I don't know. I think it makes sense for us to do this for sure. And then last but not least, I had a meeting with NAACP President John Douglas. We spoke about just a variety of things, and he's got my number and I've got his, and it's always a pleasure talking to him. And that concludes my superintendent's report.
Very good, thank you. Number 25, board comments. Becky, we'll start with you.
Okay, I don't have too much at this point regarding our work here, but I just want to say that when I was a child, one of my favorite things was to climb up dirt piles in construction area, and I live over near that roundabout, and every time I pass by that humongous dirt pile, I just think, wow.
We're offering mountain climbing.
I don't do this anymore, but no, it is very exciting to drive by and see all the progress that's being made in the new school. It's looking so good, and everything around it. So exciting stuff going on there.
That is so funny because as I drove past there, I'm like, where'd that come from? It just appeared. Well, I just want to, I guess, piggyback on the whole construction because I'm a classroom teacher, and I'm so impressed that we have buildings that are beautiful in Scott County. Because when your air conditioner doesn't work and you have to teach 25 kids in 80 degrees, that's just not good. So I am really proud that we have very wonderful buildings because it makes a difference. You know, I don't think people understand. We need to have the best of everything. And having buildings and air conditioning that work makes a difference. I had to take a bath before I came today. So, amen.
Thank you for that.
Thank
Thank you.
Go Scott County.
There you go.
Red and blue. Don't forget the blue.
Susan.
I was actually gonna mention the mountain when we were going through the construction report. Scott and I have named it Mount Cardinal. And he drives by it about as often as I do, and there's a reference to it's growing or it's moving or it's shifting. And there was a truck on top of Mount Cardinal today, and it's become Mount Cardinal at my house. It's kind of a running
If they don't get
joke.
that away, I'm gonna start calling it Mount Thomas. Just like Ben's Bog and Samacar Lake at Great Crossing High School.
Fair
So,
enough, fair enough.
that's what I like to do.
It was even in the pictures today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I saw
I
that.
know.
Yeah, that's what
I
I
saw it.
was
I saw it.
and I started to, but we got going
I
on things
know.
that were way more important.
It's probably just better
Mount
not
Cardinal,
to.
so I like
No,
that.
I really
And
wanted
here
to
we
ask,
are.
where's it go?
And here we are, yeah. Eleanor?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank DT. I think for our shirts, you always seem to have.
Yeah, they're great.
little-
Thank
Yeah,
These
that
are
is
really
nice.
cool.
I mean, I really like these, so thank you. And I'd also, being probably, well, two of us are probably the oldest ones. Within a week. But anyway, I particularly need a lot of help, and I just want to thank those that have really helped me a lot, and I really, really appreciate it. I hope I tell you that. If I don't, thank you so much. Thank you, Billy.
Okay, number 26.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Everybody have a good evening.